Welcome back. Wow, back here again with and here's Modi. We of course have in the house Periel Ashton Brand. We have Leo, my husband Vega, and we have a special.
That's my middle name.
Leo, full-time husband Vega, and we have what a guest we have for our guests.
I'm so excited.
We're so excited, and they. You listening, I know this is this is a dream guest for you. We have Brian Kelly, which we're allowed to call the points guy.
The original. There's lots of cheap imitations now.
A lot of them.
You know, the original.
You are the OG points guy. I will tell you, when I took a picture with you at the Points Guy Awards event and posted it, maybe 15 or 20 people immediately sent me pictures of a drawer full of canceled credit cards.
Yep. Yeah.
It's
a lifestyle.
The Jews love you. They love you. They listen to your advice. They polish it. They soak it. They love it. And that's just the intro. You guys know him. He's the points guy. He teaches people how to maximize the points that we keep earning on our credit cards and flying and all that.
And we would know something about that.
And
we're very excited to have you. We just to set some context, we know you socially.
Yeah.
You've come to a few of Modi's shows.
Yes.
So we've been dying to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
You're one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram.
Yep. That means a lot because there's a lot of thoughty people to follow these days.
We also know who you're flying with. We know the
my
crew.
travels lately have been pretty good. My engagement goes up when I'm like,
of
course, and then the biggest catnip of all, my son, who's like a little star in his own right.
The cutest little nugget you've ever seen.
I have to share him. As a parent, I'm like, do I do this? I want to give him privacy, but he's just a star.
He's a public figure, honey.
And he loves it. We went to a conference with Nobel Peace Prize winner and 400 screaming kids in Cape Town, and Dean walked into the room. I thought for sure he would melt down, and he's like, he was relishing.
Doing the Princess Diana wave.
100%. Unfazed. And so he's my literal clone.
He is your clone. I see him running around in your story.
Which is frightening as can be, because I know the shenanigans that I pulled. I mean, my parents are just laughing. They're
and
like,
those videos are not easy. People watch those videos, they think, he just puts the camera on and goes the editing and the timing and all of that, and he's just like sitting there in his little pod, then he's sitting on you watching a movie or something, and it's so amazing.
We just flew Newark to South Africa nonstop. I just posted that reel, and it's challenging. Even in business class, people are like, you're flying business, it's easy. A 2-year-old does not sit still for even an iPad. You've got to have a rotating constantly. You're just praying the whole time that they fall asleep.
Or a lot of Benadryl.
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually tried the melatonin thing this time, and it actually had an advert. He was hot and thirsty. I was like, this is not working.
Good.
I would not do that again. I would just do I always give him a bath before we leave and run him I don't hold him in the airport or use a stroller. That boy is running down the terminal, burning calories, getting steps in so that he's as tired as possible.
So you took him on safari.
I did, yes. So
that's amazing.
Originally, I was going to leave him at home, and I'm taking my parents on this trip. But being a single dad, I have amazing nannies that I love and trust, but it just didn't sit right with me. And I was like, this will be amazing. So I reached out to the safari camp, and because we were staying in our own villa, we'd have our own driver. And they're like, as long as our driver assesses that your child is not going to be a risk. And Dean is cool. He's and he loves animals. Oh. He was amazing on safari. He's sitting in a little car seat between me and my...
You have to be quiet and sit still. No?
And he was really good. And the only time he would get restless, you just give him a snack. We had a fruit tray. And I would just give him, and then he'd be like, okay. And he'd just be eating, lion. He actually would start spotting animals we didn't see. He'd be like, elephant, over there. It was amazing.
Wow.
And he did that. We took him whale watching in P-Town because he's obsessed with whales.
Same.
And he would start spotting whales. Whale, over there. He's really, it's such a joy to try. I've had so many amazing travel experiences.
Yeah.
And nothing compares to seeing it through your kid's eyes.
That's true.
And just watching the brain expand in front of your eyes, and it's I've always wanted to be a dad. It's pre-programmed in me.
Yeah.
My mom's one of 10 kids.
Wow.
I'm one of 4, and I have 11 nieces and nephews. So just the
big
Irish Catholic family vibe it's genetic. So it's been everything. I mean, it's just been incredible.
That's amazing.
Well, hold on. Leo is Irish Catholic too.
Yeah, but we don't have to
and-
unpack that now. Honey.
No,
You've
that's
got
a
the
lot.
childbearing hips,
And
Leo.
This is a dump truck.
I wouldn't say
it's just
childbearing.
It's a childbearing. It's a dump truck. And no, Leo. One of the first things I go, he goes, I don't want kids. I go, me neither. Perfect. Let's get married. Wow. So, where do we even begin?
So, well, let's touch a little bit on what you just said. You came from a big family,
Yes.
and you kind of got a little bit of you kind of got the bug because you were booking your dad's business travel.
Yes.
for
So
him.
like people are always like, how did you
And
just
the
become
nascent
the points
internet.
guy? This is like 90s. In the 1990s, I like was a little AOL hacker. I was on Prodigy in like 1992. And I remember I asked for it for Christmas. You'd get the internet in a burlap sack. This is what the young kids today don't understand, the struggle of like 90s kids. So I actually installed the modem, plugged in the phone cord, and it was busy. You used to dial AOL and it would be busy for like hours and hours. And then finally you get through. And
It was like,
yeah.
what?
No, I'm old enough to remember the sound.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was just like a little hacker. My dad ended up getting a job where he was traveling a ton. So I was his de facto travel agent. And I was booking his travels. And one day he's like, I have all these miles if you can figure it out. And there was no internet really in terms of like Google searching and stuff. So I called the airlines. I booked our family of 6. We went to the Cayman Islands for free. I
That's
routed my mom
insane.
and I through Miami because he had AA miles. He had US Airways miles. And I just learned. And my biggest tip today is like just be nice to phone agents. Butter them up.
100%.
It just
Yeah.
it like amazes me when I see people in the airport like berating the person who has control
Yes.
over
To
you
click the
getting
button.
home.
They
click
can
the
just
button.
click
And of course,
the button.
if someone screams at you, are you going to help them? Like,
No, it's-
no, of course not. And especially when you're an underpaid frontline employee, exhausted. When a jerk Karen comes up, I would do whatever it took to not, help them.
Wait, can we just discuss that you call them frontline employees?
They are.
They are.
I know, but
Like,
I'm just, it's
I
such
mean,
a,
Those are the
They're-
trenches, honey.
They, yeah.
The
I think
gate
that's-
agent?
I mean, I guess that because it has the medical worker connotation.
So
I mean, they're doing the Lord's work.
They are.
Boarding flights with like people who don't want to listen.
Talking on the phone to like annoying, complaining, screaming.
People.
You talk about that on your book. You say be nice
kind.
to
It's
people.
it's crazy because these agents have power.
Totally.
They have power if they want to help you. I've gotten so much. I've gotten refunds when I haven't. Because Debbie at the computer can. They know how to override stuff, right, to make it look good. And so anything is possible. So
Right.
always butter up. How's your day? Oh, crazy day. There's a kid in the background. Oh, I got kids too. I'm really trying to get home. I know my ticket's not changeable, but
my line is, I walk on the plane. I go, "What a great smile." I hit them with that. I hit them with the what a great smile, and then you
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
is this only the fit male
don't-
Israeli ones on LL?
No. Every
I know you, Modi.
Every woman, every anybody that's on, because they always smile when you go, "Welcome aboard, hi," and they give you the little thing you should start cleaning.
Yeah.
They give you the little
Schmaltz.
Alcohol, yeah.
So you should go clean your seat. I said, what a great smile. You're too busy already in your anxiety mode. But I right away start talking to them. You don't understand the power they have. They
I'm such
now
a good
have
traveler. I get no credit. I get 0 credit.
they have their own phone that's on the plane. They can come over to you and go, "I am so sorry that your seat was dirty. Someone spilled coffee. I can give you 5,000 points." They can do that from the plane. So you butter them up.
Yep.
Always smile. And then
Do you have
and
any
they see a
advice
gay
for that?
couple. They
When
see a gay
they-
couple. They're so happy.
Yeah.
When they offer, because like one time my screen didn't work and they just came over with the iPad and they were like, "Here's X amount of points."
Yeah.
Should I be saying no? I want to talk to someone else, or should I just be like,
I mean, look,
"Thank
you got to choose your battles.
Yes.
There's like taking it to the extremes, and
I'm
there
not
are
Karening.
complainers with airlines that you could actually get like kicked out of flying an airline if you complain all the time. This has happened. I mean, it's really extreme.
We
We
need to.
had a
can
guest that was banned from Delta
Yeah.
for making a video in the bathroom.
Like he was cooking a
he was
steak on
cooking
the
a steak.
But it was
toilet.
fake. He wasn't
was
actually
fake.
doing
was
it.
in
He
his
edited
apartment,
it to make it.
But he got kicked off of
my
the
God.
Delta.
He's still on the no-fly list.
Yeah, because
Really?
the video
so like
went
he tries
viral.
to book a ticket, and it'll just like
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
He
he's
can't.
banned for life. His video went viral. He's a comic. It was very
Yeah.
funny. But so he had like all of these.
Marcus Monroe,
Yeah.
and to be
Oh
clear, he
my
did not actually cook a steak in the bathroom. He just cleverly edited a video that was very realistic
that's
looking.
fine. And then I guess they're like, oh,
And
it
it
would
encourages reckless behavior.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah, you don't mess around with
You do
airlines.
not mess around with
Listen,
them.
my best friend since I'm 12 years old is a flight attendant and has been forever. And the stories that she has told me about people's behavior on airlines.
Well, let's talk about it. You have a book coming
Yes.
out called How to Win at Travel.
Yes.
And it talks about different things. It talks about, obviously points, developing a personal travel strategy. And then you talk about travel etiquette. And this is what I want to dig into a little bit with you because we fly a lot.
Yeah.
I
What do you
think-
disagree with?
I think you're
We didn't.
Oh, okay.
I
good.
think you're probably the only person we know who flies more than we do. So you mentioned reclining seats.
Yes.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
this because I'm reclining.
Yeah. No, I am a firm believer, like in my book, I interview experts, so it's not just my opinion. But like Richard Branson, I interviewed on this topic. And, he said like seats recline for a reason, right?
Right.
Like, and I'm 6'7", so trust me, I get, when you're
He's
in
very
economy.
tall if you're
So this is
listening.
what I say. I mean, you are allowed to recline your seat, but don't be a jerk about it, right? Like, don't just immediately slam your seat back.
Right.
Like, I hate those aggressive seat recliners. You can actually break someone's laptop by like.
Yes, that is
Plus,
true.
with kids in the kids in a car seat, you could smack into them. So just be like nice about it.
Right.
And if you don't want someone reclining into you, then make sure you get a seat
Right.
in the bulkhead, exit row, et cetera.
how
Like
I
you
feel.
kind of too many people expect everyone to cater to them. You
Right.
know. So, but I would say this: during meal service, don't have your seat reclined if
That makes
possible.
sense.
Because someone's scalp in your head, there's not a lot of room to begin with. So, but I do think at the end of the day, it's your right to recline. And
Your
if you
right
don't want
to
to
recline.
recline, fly Spirit.
This is
Because
our
Spirit has
presidential
seats that don't
platform.
recline.
I know.
So
No, it's true. You should book the bulkhead if this
Yep.
is an issue for you.
and every airline these days will sell you those seats.
I
so.
flew Spirit once, and I didn't realize what all the comics have jokes about it. I didn't realize they were true. And she's like, "Kind of like, yeah, so I'll take a coffee." She goes, "That's whatever 99
Yeah.
something." And I was like, "Really?" And I said to everybody in the area, "Everybody, whoever wants coffee, it's on me."
yeah.
And I bought coffee for like 3 rows. it was so.
Hot take. I've flown Spirit several times when I need to, like on short flights. Who cares? Because
Yeah.
United will charge 4x. It's the same damn
I will
coach
challenge
experience.
you on the
like,
short flight thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's such a thing as a short flight.
Yeah.
There is. You can be flying to, hey, it's just to Chicago. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You might be on that tarmac
Right. Yeah.
for 7.5 hours because of some delay. And if you're sitting up front, right, you paid extra for that seat rather than it's only an hour and a half. If you're sitting up front, you have to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
They just look away. They look away. If you're coming from the back of the plane to
They
go to
shoot
the
you.
bathroom, they pull out
A
Uzis.
taser.
Yeah.
They taser you.
Yeah.
And they call the FBI. And when you arrive, there's federal marshals waiting for you. So
Well, here's my take on it. So when you fly the major airlines, so I always book last minute. I always change my flights. So last minute, all the good seats are taken by elite travelers on American, United, Delta. You try to book the last minute flight in an exit row on Delta or even their premium like economy, everything's full. It's middle seats. Except on Spirit, because everyone's so cheap, they don't pay for the exit row or all the premium seats. So for like a 45-minute flight, it's the same amount of like legroom you're getting on like the normal carriers, but you can pay the extra $50 and sit in the exit row with no one else next to you
Right.
because they're not letting people sit there for free. So the people who don't pay for those premium seats, often you're flying, with open seats next to you, which is like a real gift when flying economy. Same with like Ryanair. You pay like the $20 extra. Everyone's like, it's so crazy. But I'm like, but the cheap price you pay, just pay for the extras.
That's
can
what
board
I do.
you.
Yes, I have flown Ryanair multiple times, and just am like paying. It's so
Well, even your
great.
bags come out in 1 minute. 'cause
Yeah.
there's only 2
Yep.
bags checked because everyone's too cheap to check a bag. Every
Yeah.
baggage check with Ryanair, it's like 1 bag comes out.
It's
and
one
you're on your
lad
way-
from
yeah.
Yorkshire with
Yeah.
a
It's
fanny
true.
pack going
Like
to
I
Ibiza.
paid like an extra $100 to check like 3 bags,
Yeah.
and in like the front of the plane.
where are you flying? Where's Ryanair flying?
Tel Aviv to Crete.
Oh.
Yeah, and in that case, it's probably one of the few airlines that fly that. I would never connect to fly a full service carrier
100%.
over, especially in Europe where business class is the biggest scam in the
Yeah.
history of the
It
world.
is. Let's talk about
An
that.
economy seat with no extra leg room,
Nothing.
a blocked middle seat. I mean,
It is a scam.
Europeans
It's a
aren't even
scam.
fat like Americans. They
Right.
don't need that middle seat blocked. In America, we do.
the clothing. The
Oh yeah,
clothing
on
issue,
one of
that
our
was-
last podcasts, I brought up if you are at the airport in open-toed shoes and shorts, especially
Ew.
for some reason, if you're a man, I think you should be put on the no-fly list. And I think you,
Especially most of the men with flip-flops and shorts have not
they
ever
have
had
no
a
business.
pedicure.
They have no
Yeah,
business
yeah.
doing it. I don't think it's appropriate to wear shorts on an airplane. Yes or no?
I would say this. So there are times when airports are so hot and you're like roasting on a plane in the Caribbean when like there's not even jet bridges and you're
Right.
roasting.
I've been there.
So I don't blame people. Like in my book, I talked to Mika Meyer, who's an etiquette expert. And it's like, look, like if you're flying in the islands, I'll say this. I wear Lululemon shorts and a Lululemon t-shirt, even when I'm flying in first class. I flew Etihad Residence, the nicest
I saw
yesterday.
I saw.
And I wore my Lulu because I roast on planes.
Yeah.
So and I cannot sleep when it's hot. So I wear breathable. I don't go through the airport in my Lululemon outfit. But I do think like you don't need to dress up for travel these days.
No.
It's about being comfortable because as you said, the flight's never as long as you think it's always longer. You're
Yep.
always delayed. So be comfortable. You know, if you're going to not wear socks, like don't put your feet up on anything.
Oh.
You know?
Don't walk to the bathroom in bare feet.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I've never
disgusting.
seen someone do that.
I
You know what I
have
do?
seen
I
it.
have.
I bring flip flops with me every time I travel, so that in the middle, if you really need to go to the bathroom, sometimes it's annoying to put on your shoes or whatever. So I always have like a pair of slides at my seat, like ready to just go, so I don't have to like really wake up myself and
Yeah.
like put on shoes.
I have special slip-on sneakers that I wear
Yeah.
for flights, specifically for that reason because I have to pee so much.
You can't go to the bathroom.
And I have designated flight outfits. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
I
is
have- yeah.
breathable material.
Yeah.
You still pants.
So you will
But-
still sleep in pants,
Yeah. And I get really hot too.
Yeah.
I get really hot on planes.
man. Just try shorts the next time. It's so comfortable.
I know, but then I just feel like I'm touching the back of my cat. Okay, this is
So
this is
you're
another
really
thing.
worried about like a cloth touching your
Yeah, you're
skin.
like, honey, I've seen where you
I
party.
know where you've been. We've hung out in Fire Island. I mean, and we're going to leave it at that.
redacted. The other thing is I'm 5'11", a normal height. This is like this is like average height, not short, not tall. You're 6'7".
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable on airplanes.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You have you call it the canoe effect.
Yeah, I size 15 feet. So like a lot of times in business class, so the issues you have, not just length, but like the width of the seat,
Right.
where I'm like this. And then your feet, the worst is when I have to wedge my foot at an angle. I can't sleep. And there's certain aircraft now where they, when like Delta 767, I don't, everyone's like, Delta's a great airline, but internationally, they're 767s, which is the bulk of their fleet.
Right.
I mean, it's a coffin.
It's a coffin.
Yeah.
I said that.
You drop into the ground and your feet have to like,
Right.
JetBlue Mint is similar where it's like, I love Mint, but it's like, that is a cramped seat.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the old Mint, not the new Mint is much nicer, like the planes that go to Europe. But yeah, so I'm very particular, the plane type, and
Yeah,
I
you
teach
do all
people in
your-
my book, like selecting the right times, the right planes. When you're going to France, you've got a bunch of different options. Air France business class blows Delta away in
Yeah.
every metric. Bigger
Yes.
seat, better food,
Yeah.
more
Yes.
seamless connections. And most people just don't know that. So my book is about, yes, it's points, it's travel etiquette. I have a whole chapter on jet lag, which I learned a ton about jet lag. Jet lag is all about light. It is not about sleep and how it is literally exposed. Your eye has two functions. It is to see things and it's to register daylight to set your circadian rhythm, which then sets all the other bodily functions.
Well, you invested in a company about this.
Yes, Time Shifter, which
Yeah.
is like
which
the
I follow on
only app.
Instagram now, and I need to.
Well, get the Time Shifter app. It just pings you when you should stop drinking caffeine. And like the couple days before your flight, you just go to bed a little bit earlier each night, if possible. And
So you're like biohacking.
yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, but it's beatable. You just can't. I was always of the mindset, let me just take an Ambien and sleep for 12 hours.
Right.
No.
And then that actually
I do that when I'm
messes
not
you
flying.
up even more.
Yeah, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
But I started taking melatonin,
That's
and
so
that
cute.
really
That's so
helped.
cute.
So, and what
I began taking Tic Tacs. Did the same thing
But
as
with
melatonin.
melatonin, and everyone listening, so a lot of the gummies and stuff are it's a long release. You have to get short release melatonin.
Yes.
So before you fly, it's all about the short release.
Yeah.
You gotta, and it's a smaller dose. Some people like overdose themselves with long release, so that's why you're groggy. Then it's still releasing when you're trying to like land and go through immigration. So short release.
Take it the second before you go to sleep, or half an
Yeah,
hour
right
before you go
before.
to sleep. Yeah.
A short, smaller dose. That's what like will put you down and let you sleep.
You'll be proud of us because another thing that you feel strongly about and talk about is that you should not be hoarding points.
Yes.
And we did a points cleanse this year.
Yeah.
We flew to Australia
Because of you.
on points.
And Israel.
And Israel on points.
Israel's tough these days with all the flight cancel. You know, the flight prices are crazy.
That's
All my friends are like, "I'll help you." You know, I'm always like, "I'll help you book a ticket." And then whenever a friend texts, "Okay, I need to go to Tel Aviv on this one day," I'm like, "You're screwed." Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the least of Israel's problems
I
right
know.
now.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and we do not know how to go in and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
We have an agent.
Yep.
This Hasidic guy,
High class travel.
high class travel.
High class travel. He has
yes.
all of my login
High
information.
class with
If
the
he
low
wants-
price.
He has every one of our passcodes.
He has my blood type, my
He
social
has
security
our
number.
Amex codes. He has, and we book with him. We need to get to Paris and then to Zurich and then to London, and all of a sudden we're getting emails from, "You're now a member of Air France. You're a member of Air Morocco," and these points are coming and going, and out of
switching
nowhere,
around.
$300, 100,000 points, and we're booked in first class. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
Yeah. I mean, so for anyone listening, a lot of people are like, I just don't have the time to
Yeah.
like learn about points. So there's high class that you used. Point.me is a site that actually is the Google Flights of travel, where you can put in, you want to go New York to Paris, and it'll actually search. Because the trick is these days, it's not using Delta, United, and American. The U.S. carriers are inflating crazily every year. I mean, you used to be able to 100,000 miles round trip go to Europe.
Yeah.
Delta, it's literally, I've seen 1 million mile round trip
Yeah.
itineraries. You know, it's crazy. But the foreign frequent flyer programs are still keeping it. That's where it's at. So that's why your broker is like, oh no, there's an arbitrage opportunity.
Right.
You know, if you transfer Amex points to Air France, you can get 100,000 mile round trip still on a lot of days to Europe. Whereas that same exact Air France flight on Delta is 500,000 or more. So like 10x differential by just transferring to foreign. So Point.me is an app. If you have Amex points or Bilt points, you can use it for free. It's like $129 a year otherwise. But they also have a concierge service similar to what you use. So you can just pay someone $300 a ticket, which is a no-brainer for busy people who have so many points. What I hate is when people have like millions of Amex points, which are so valuable, and they're like, well, I just redeemed them for a Saks gift card.
Oh no, the worst. No. Horrible.
I just flew,
I saw
Etihad
that.
first class. It was 200,000 points. And that for that amount of money, I got an $8,000 first class ticket, Abu Dhabi, New York. For the same
That's
amount of
crazy.
points, it's a $1,000 Saks gift card. So I'm like,
That's
And
what would you rather
They're
have?
trying to get those points. Like obviously, you spoke about it in your book on Amazon. Amazon tries like, do you want to pay this with
Yeah,
points?
you know.
In New York City
you know.
taxis.
Yep.
In New York City taxis now, right when you're
Yeah.
and you can make a mistake and just hit yes. They say, would you like to pay this with 4,000 Amex points?
I do that all the time.
You don't. Are you crazy?
Do not.
Until I read the book.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I think I'm.
Well, I don't blame people, and that's why people, once you
I'm like, the ride's free.
yeah.
It's not.
It's
though.
not.
You paid
Right.
for it, honey.
Especially when you're trying to book a flight
Opportun-
afterwards somewhere
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
I know it's always people that do that. Then they're like, okay, I want to go to the Maldives and splurge, but I only have like 12,000 points. I'm like, girl, you've been redeeming them on taxis, you know, like,
True.
like, and you get, you know, what's an extra like $20 saved here or there? You're not even seeing the value, and that's why so many people don't value their points because they're just not.
They don't see it as real money. It's like monopoly money.
But it is it's
real
like
money.
so easily solvable, and I hope that people.
No, I learned so much because I just was basically spending everything on Amazon. I'm like,
And if you want to do that, it's totally fine, but just get an Amazon card. The mistake people make is they'll pay like $600, $700 for an Amex Platinum, and then or gold. You know, they're accruing these super valuable points, and they're just liquidating them. But if you just got a 2% cash back, like if you want cash, just get cash back. Don't mess with like gift cards and getting an expensive Amex point and then just squandering it. Like you could actually get 4x the value by just getting 2% back.
Yeah.
Because like $100,000 spent on an Amex, you're going to get 100,000 points, which is worth like $500. But if you spend 100,000 on a 2% back cash card, you'd have 2,000 cash. So would you rather have a $500 gift card or 2,000 in cash?
Right.
To buy whatever you want in the world, put it in the stock market. You know, so it's like, it's just about, not everyone wants to fly first class. That's fine. But at least then just get the best cash back and stop messing around with like a system you just consistently lose at.
I
That's good advice.
it's amazing advice. Frequent. I remember before there was frequent flyer points. When did frequent flyer points begin?
Well,
in
the 80s,
80s.
yeah. So 1978, the US, so airfare used to be regulated. You know, the government would say to fly New York to LA was $500, no matter what airline or whatever. So in 1978, the U.S. government said, you know, let's just free market competition and see what happens. And it was amazing. All of a sudden, the airlines had to compete against each other.
Yeah.
So that's when they started creating frequent flyer programs because they all realized, wait a minute, the business travelers we got to get. And then from there, it just has taken on. The airlines nowadays are actually, they're called flying banks. So the airlines, every major U.S. airline, they make more from selling miles than they do from flying planes.
Wow.
Like the most profit, all the major airlines are making all
didn't
like
know
the
that.
most profit from their credit cards. Because think about it, like if you fly Delta 3 times a year, Delta's only getting money 3 times a year from you. But when you have a Delta Amex card, every single day you're buying things, Delta's getting a cut. So 365 days a year. It's
Yeah.
brilliant business. Like 1% of total US GDP goes on a Delta co-branded card.
Wow.
And now all the airlines are, in order to get elite status, they're not frequent flyer programs or frequent buyer. So you need to spend on the airline and they're incentivizing you to spend on the credit card. So it's a pretty amazing business what they've created. But there have been so many changes that I think when people read the book, my point is just take a breather. Like sometimes elite status may not be worth it these days. There's a stat, like 10 years ago, Delta in the first class cabin, 80% of the first class cabin was getting upgraded for free through the frequent flyer program. 20% of passengers would be paying crazy business corporate fares. That's flipped. 80% of passengers today on Delta are paying.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's us.
And then 20% get the scraps. So those 20% upgrades are really only going to diamonds and platinum. So people who are like, should I spend $5,000 to get gold status next year? I'm like, on what? On the hopes of maybe getting a couple $200 upgrades that you could save the $5,000 and upgrade
just
yourself
pay
when you
for
actually
it.
want versus like hoping for future returns, you know?
Yeah.
And really what I think people just, instead of getting the airline and hotel credit cards, get the transferable cards that reward you the most.
Platinum Amex you talk about.
Well, Platinum Amex is good for perks, but people are shocked when I love the Platinum card, but I don't put anything on it. I have an Amex Gold card, which is 4 points per dollar on dining and groceries. So the Platinum gives you 5x on airfare, but it's 1 on everything else. So I never earn just 1 point per dollar. That's like a rule of thumb. So I'm always getting 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. And then for any purchase where I can't get a bonus on another card, there's a Capital One Venture X card that's 2 points per dollar on everything you spend. So like doctor's offices, there's certain purchases you're never going to get a bonus. Like no credit card has like, pet supplies. But the Capital One Venture card is 2x. So that's my base earn 2, and then I'll have 4x on dining on Amex Gold. You can even earn points on the Bilt credit card for rent with no fees. So it's just a matter of like, make sure you get paid, you're getting points for everything you spend.
So we book far out. We have flights booked already in 2005 and deep in because we see where the shows are. We also can't not get there. Missing a flight or a delay, we can't get. So if we can, we arrive to the city the day before. So we wake up in the city where the show is, and we are super early. So the lounges are so important to us. The lounges are just a very important thing. Now, I don't usually use American Airline because their lounge, you have to be something special.
Admiral's Club.
Well, they have different tiers of clubs. Yeah.
Right. Like we know with Delta we're in because we have status and we have a business class ticket. But American Airlines is
it just depends where you're flying. So if you're in business on American, you're always going to get into the lounge. Internationally, but domestically,
domestically, no.
Yeah, so Delta now, they for their transcontinental premium flights, they will let you in. United, if you fly Newark to LA, they won't let you in. So every airline has its nuance. So that's why they, once again, get the credit card, their $500 credit card, and they'll let you in.
And Chase now has a new lounge.
Yeah, so the best lounges, in my opinion, Chase lounges are
the new Sapphire
incredible.
Lounge.
The new Sapphire Lounge at LaGuardia is probably one of the top lounges in America.
Is it?
You can order food from a tablet. They bring it to you in the lounge instead of like having to wait in line at a picked over buffet.
I hate that.
Especially with traveling with my son, it's nice. You just order on the tablet. They bring it over to you. It's like fresh. The credit card companies are the ones with the money. So the Capital One lounges are really nice. There's only a couple of them now, but they're expanding. Amex Centurion lounges are nice, although overcrowded sometimes. That's like the biggest. They can't expand them big enough. So lounges as a whole have gotten nicer. But during the pandemic, they kind of extended everyone's elite status. Everyone was getting in. There's lines. And if like everyone's VIP at the club,
Right.
is anyone VIP
Right.
at the club?
Yeah, no. When we walk by the Centurion Lounge and there's like a line to get in, I'm like, oh, like let's
Yeah.
just.
No, the JFK Delta is insane. There's a line to get in.
Yeah.
But somehow there's 2 lines, but we go
If you
to
have
the,
elite status, and so,
we have elite status
so
on
they'll
Delta,
put you to
yeah.
the front. And now Delta has the new Delta One lounges, which are just for business class flying passengers, which alleviates some of the lines in the normal clubs. But
Yeah.
biggest 3 takeaways that for anybody listening to this podcast should be from you. If I may, probably
Yeah.
don't hoard points.
yeah, don't hoard points. I would say number one, like loyalty goes both ways. Like if you're, an elite status is a drug. So many people are just like used to having elite status. But like the game is shifting and there are so many lucrative ways to earn points on credit cards. I would say focus first and foremost on just making sure you're maximizing, because get Amex, Chase, Citi, Capital One points. These points you can transfer to all the airlines. These are the most valuable points. You want to have a lot of transferable points that give you options versus just like going all in on one airline. Because I know so many people are like, I have 2 million United miles, but like I want to fly Emirates. I'm like, you can't. Oh, but can I transfer them back into? No. Like you've accrued into a very restrictive currency. If you just would have accrued on an Amex or a Chase card, you'd have millions more options. So generally, always like do a yearly check-in with your strategy and look at where you're spending the most money and try to get more than 1 point for every dollar.
Who do we check in with our strategy? Like,
I mean,
You have to make your own strategy.
So-
That's what the book is.
yeah, I mean, the book is about like teaching you how to do it yourself.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure the Point.me concierge, they actually have a service where they'll sit down, review your cards, review what airlines you're flying. But yeah, really, the information's all out on the internet. It's about making sure you understand. But no one's going to be able to tell you what do you spend your money on.
Right.
There are some apps out there, but you have to be careful too about giving all your passwords out. Loyalty fraud is a huge issue these days. I do not recommend people giving out their passwords unless you really know the person, because accounts are getting drained like crazy nowadays. But I think there's another tip: shopping online. So we all shop online. Most people don't know that you could just be getting free points for shopping online, not just from using your credit card that earns points when you cash out, but say you shop at Saks, never go to Saks.com. Always go through their airline and credit card shopping portals where you put your frequent flyer number in and it stores a cookie on your computer. And basically when you go to any retailer, but Amazon's the only outlier, they don't participate. But almost every other online store, whether it's Brooklinen for your sheets or whatever, always check to see if there's a airline or hotel or credit card shopping portal. And that you can go to a website called Cashback Monitor. So you'll put in the retailer, Saks or whatever, and it'll show you all the different airlines and credit cards you can get extra points. And this is double dipping. So, for example, you could use a Delta credit card and you'll get Delta points. But, say you want to also keep your American Airlines account active. You can go to AdvantageEShopping.com. You put in your AA number. And for that purchase, you could use your Delta credit card. You'll earn your Delta miles. And then you earn extra points in American Airlines for the same exact purchase. So many people are shocked when they hear this, and that's free points. And this can be up to 10 miles per dollar. Nike, Apple, Best Buy. If you're buying appliances, always shop through the shopping portals. You're redoing
That's
your house.
crazy.
Another thing is, if you've got a card like the Amex Gold, which is 4x points at supermarkets. At supermarkets, you can buy tons of gift cards for Home Depot. So all of a sudden, instead of getting like 1 or 2 points per dollar on your Home Depot, you can earn 4 points per dollar by buying gift cards at a supermarket. That's like a little bit more. Not everyone wants to do that, but there's certain things you can do that all of a sudden your points are like all of a sudden start skyrocketing.
I am doing everything wrong.
Oh, for sure.
My friend built a house on an Amex.
Yeah.
And got like so many.
Well, buying a car, you can always negotiate. Like buying a car, I always recommend, get your price to rock bottom that you're happy to pay. And then to close the deal, they're going to say, oh, we can only take $1,500 on credit card. False. Any dealership can take the full price. I know people who have bought entire Porsches, whatever. If they want to hold it, you twist it in them and say, no, I need you to put $20,000 on my Amex card. We can't do that. We can't. Okay, I'm not going to buy the car. And you'll be shocked.
Right. Suddenly they can do it, right?
They can do it. They're lying when they say, oh, I'm not allowed. The finance manager can do it. They can run. They, of course, don't want it. They're going to pay the fee. But that's the final negotiation point. So after you're already happy with your price, this is where you just like twist it even more. And I love hearing stories when people are like, oh, I knew that you can actually ask for more. And I just drove them home on it. And they finally relented. And even if it's $10K, I mean, it's
still 10K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when you start just thinking of points, accruing points, they're all around us. It's just a matter of like knowing what you can get.
wow.
The points are in the air, Periel.
Yeah.
You're just using them on the taxis.
It's
You need to
it's
just-
also there's a Hebrew word called tipus. It's a type of person. I have a cousin in Israel, well-to-do guy, Ron. He loves to negotiate. Since we were kids, and he came from Israel. And he went to school in Boston. Back then, it was for long distance. Whoever you use for long distance phone calls. You know, if you call from New York to Boston, it was a long distance phone call. You paid, you saw it. He used to get on the phone and negotiate for hours with these people. I said, "How? Why? How can you do it?" He goes, "He just loves it."
Yeah.
It's a sport.
It's a sport.
It is. What I'll say now with chatbots, I'm the opposite side. Like bad things happen to me, and I'm like, I just don't feel like dealing with it. A, I'm lazy, and B, I don't have that gene that like loves to go to war. Like I'll go to war in different ways in business or whatever, but like customer service wise, I'm like, oh, this was really messed up. I should give them the feedback. But half the time, I'm like, my life's moving onward. But now with chatbots, you can just send a message, be like for example, hotels are now charging resort fees. Like some hotels are charging $200 a day,
Right.
in resort, or $150. It's
Outrageous.
insane. And then the Wi-Fi sucks. But you just send it, like every time you're on in-flight Wi-Fi, it's always slow. So just send them a message and be like, it was really slow. And most of the time, they'll just give you back the $20 or the $50.
Right.
So it's like, instead of having to call and waste time, the opportunity cost to complain about legitimate things is
Right.
easier than ever. You can just send a quick message on a
Right.
chat bot. Hey, this is my PNR. Like, my seat was broken, and
Right.
I know a lot of people get, you can get a free business class ticket a year just by like,
Yeah, I there's been several times where I've paid for in-flight internet and it didn't work.
Oh,
It just
same.
doesn't work.
Right.
You feel ripped off.
You completely feel ripped off, but I'm too busy sleeping.
Someone's got to answer the emails.
So this book is coming out when?
February 4th. So yeah, I've been, I started the Points Guy in 2010. So it's taken me almost 15 years. Wow. I've always wanted to write a book. But now I basically overrode my ADD, and it's been a really fun project too.
How did you organize it?
So when I sold the book, I had a sample chapter list and a concept that is pretty much what it ended up being. I ended up tweaking it as I went along, and I had a lot more. I cut some chapters. I just couldn't. There's not a whole lot on cruises, and I was going to do a thing on private jets, which I found fascinating, interesting ways, but it's not relevant to most people. So I also had to say to myself, like, this is just the first book. This is the book I want people to have and have like a literacy in travel. It was really important for me to write the chapter on when things go wrong. Most people, a flight's delayed and they just panic.
Right.
And when you were saying earlier, like you have to get somewhere. So not everyone can go the day before.
Right.
But say you can only leave Friday after work. You've got to get your cousin's wedding. Your flight's getting delayed. You're at LaGuardia and you're like, oh shit.
Yep.
Most people are just like, finger in a prayer, hopefully it goes.
Yeah.
What I do and what Points people do is, no, I'm booking a secondary flight on Points, because what people don't realize is the airlines will let you cancel up until the second of departure for free to get your points back. So when you're on a flight and you get that text, delayed 20 minutes, that might be a mechanical delay that could then cancel the flight.
That
Instantly.
dominoes.
And sometimes before there's even a delay, I'll book a second flight on a different carrier from the same airport later in the day as an insurance policy. I don't cancel it until my flight is taking off in the air. And you just have to remember to always cancel.
that's
But you
good.
get
Yeah.
it back. There's no fee. So it's an insurance policy. If you have to get somewhere, have that secondary. And that's the beauty of Points. Unlike buying a ticket, where if you can book a Delta ticket or whatever. If you cancel it, you get a voucher.
Right.
With Points, you could make bookings proactively for next year. And if something changes, you can just get your points back for free. Pre-pandemic, the airlines would charge you like $100 every time you canceled. So you'd kind of be like, okay, let's try not to do this too much. But now most all frequent flyer programs let you cancel free of charge. So it's like booking refundable tickets as insurance policies.
It's amazing. I didn't know that.
Would you say that's one of the biggest things that changed with travel in the pandemic? In terms
There's
of, like,
not all
policy?
bad things that change. Yeah, the airlines got a lot more lenient with cancellation policies. Like pre-pandemic, like if you canceled a flight, half the time you'd lose it. Like they were pretty strict, especially, and with points you had to pay to. So they all like
Relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have questions. So obviously you're the points guy, you're a travel expert, etc. You're also an animal lover,
I do.
and you have a very special place called Carbon Ridge
Yes.
that I'm fascinated by and is like my childhood dream. I'm inviting myself soon to come
Please.
see it. But before we started recording, you said you had like an announcement about
Oh
some
yeah,
new
animals.
additions.
So people are wondering. They're like, so Carbon Ridge is just the name of my farm. In 2020, I started riding horses, and in typical fashion of just taking everything to the extreme, I ended up. So and New Hope, Pennsylvania is a place. It's right near where I grew up. My parents, siblings are all in that area. So when I have my son, I always knew I wanted to be close to my family, especially as a single dad. Like I love my son having like he sees his grandparents and usually has a sleepover every Friday night with them, which to me is like
that's so sweet.
priceless. So I had a house in New Hope. I started riding horses in 2020, and then someone bought my old house off market for an amount that I couldn't say no to, and I was like, the only way I'll sell is if there's this horse farm that I got for a really good deal.
Could you buy it with points?
I've earned a lot of points. It needed a lot of work, and every contractor hates me because I'm like, you can't place the order like for the fiber optics. Like I'm doing it through, an online shop.
Really?
The kitchen remodel. No, that's all going on my credit card. They're like, fine, just like, but so anyway, so I bought this 30-acre horse farm. I have horses, and people say like horses are like potato chips. You can never have one. And I love rescue.
Hear that all the
My
time.
dog's a rescue. He's the best dog in the world. So I'm a big believer in rescue. So, when I hear there was a 20-year-old llama that needed to be rescued, I have a couple other llamas. Fiasco's his name, and he's actually now 22. Llamas only live till 20 or so. I've got a 22-year-old llama with 2 buck teeth named Fiasco. I've got
You must
Benihana
love
the llama.
them.
So it's amazing to see my son like grow up with 30. So we have 6 horses, including Ginger Spice Kelly, who is a miniature.
Spice.
She's a miniature.
I've heard of her.
She's sassy. She's like the most dangerous horse. Everyone's like, I'm like, that bitch will buck you. Like,
Wait, she's miniature?
Yeah, Ginger Spice. She was raised in a house with dogs and like really neglected. So when I rescued her like a year and a half, 2 years ago, she was in terrible shape. She's a chestnut, so she's like a red-haired miniature
pony. How big
pony.
is she?
I think she's like a mini pony. She's like probably 2.5 feet off the ground, but a big round belly. She's sassy. Her hair whips around. She's really sweet, but she is like, you'll get her excited. She'll like run around a circle and like try to kick you. You gotta like, she'll like step on your foot. Luckily she's mini, but it still hurts.
Yeah.
So I have horses. I got llamas. So I have these huge Benihana the llama.
Oh my God.
Benihana the llama.
And I have 2 alpacas, Fiasco. I have 3 goats, the S'mores brothers. They look like Hershey, Graham, and Mallow.
Yeah, Noah's Ark over there.
It really
Dean is growing up with this
so you shouldn't hoard points, but you should hoard animals. That's my take. So we have ducks. I got 2 guinea fowl, which are great at eating ticks. Well, Martha Stewart has told me she's gifting me peacocks, which my farm manager. Well, if people at home are like, how are you taking care of all these? I have full-time staff that do this. They're not neglected when I'm traveling.
I want to gift you every dog that's in my building.
Yeah.
Every dog in my building. You can have every dog that's barking in my building. You can have every one of them.
The barking dog thing is annoying.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But okay.
Well, the newest, I think I've gotten most of the animals, but we just.
What are the alpacas?
Oh, alpacas, Brownie and Blondie. They're just like little aliens. They serve no purpose whatsoever. I usually keep them when I'm home. They're in the pasture that when I come home, so they greet me. They like run alongside my car. So it's like after like a crazy week in the city, like the farm, when I just drive in, it's like heaven to me. And my blood pressure immediately drops.
Oh.
And just like spending time with my son, like being able to ride horses, I turn my phone off. It's like what I think really keeps me sane. So when I was on my recent trip in South Africa, the local SPCA, like I follow their Instagram, and I see, help, we need rescues of 3 little piglets. So we have 3 piglets that I haven't even met yet because I am not going to be on my farm until next week. But
coming from where?
They were from a local. I think
You're
a lot
flying
of times
them from South Africa.
No.
Oh.
The local SPCA in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's like-
sorry.
These are some lucky South
I was
African
like,
pigs.
wow,
No,
the
no,
South
no.
African piglets
No.
are like
I was
really, they
in
nailed
South
it.
Africa, so I messaged my farm manager hates peacocks, and
Because
funny
they're
enough,
loud and they shit everywhere.
So funny enough,
right?
I was staying in Franschhoek in the wine country in South Africa, and they woke me up at 5 a.m. They're shrieking like banshees.
Yeah.
But I'm just still at odds because, like, if Martha Stewart offers you peacocks,
You take that.
yeah, take the
Absolutely.
So one of the things that you
But
wrote about
yeah.
that was so funny was these emotional support animals or
Yeah.
the animals that, and I had read something a couple of years ago that somebody actually tried to bring an emotional support peacock.
yeah, on a plane. The people. This is why we can't have nice things because, like, they used to have these rules, like, and then people just take it to the extremes. However, I will say there are emotional support mini horses that I've come to learn because mini horses will live like 50 years. The issue with support dogs is that they only live 10 years.
Right.
And it's expensive and timely. So miniature, if you can train a horse to live with, to do all of your service needs, which is possible. Horses are really smart and trainable.
Are we going to start bringing mini horses on planes
are.
with us?
People
On
I've seen
planes?
pictures.
You're going to
Yeah.
see
I
somebody.
think now most airlines have rules around that. But
Please don't pet
We've
my
seen
mini
everything.
horse.
We've seen cats, dogs, bunnies. We saw a bird. We saw people traveling with every type of animal as a support.
It is unsettling when you're flying and you're just here like,
And you're like, I thought it was like in the song. I go, meow, wait.
Yeah.
Is this meow. And then I think there's a cat meowing.
no,
It's
I think
outrageous.
Crack down it used to be pre-pandemic. It was a free-for-all where everyone had their doctor's notes from their therapists. Like, you can still kind of bend those rules, but you have to be a little bit more callous in how you interpret the new regulations. But there's been like a huge decrease in the amount of animals on planes. There's now like airlines like K9 jets. It's private jets filled with.
I've seen those.
Because animal parents, I mean, I do not recommend ever checking a dog if you can avoid it.
That's
below.
insane
Because
to check
airlines
a dog.
lose dogs. I mean, not all the time,
yeah,
but
no.
like enough dogs die underneath. So
Yeah, it's in freezing, right?
so now, there's a whole crop of like airlines popping up just for
Frozen
pets.
dogs?
Yeah,
No, they do like a Palm Beach, New York run. I've seen
Yeah.
that a flight.
yeah, they do London now, LA.
Speaking of dogs, we'll take this moment to thank our sponsor, A&H Provisions, who, Brian, the best kosher meat, glatt kosher meat that's available and the best hot dogs in the world. Their website is kosherdogs.net, and with the code word MODI, you get 30% off of your first purchase. And we'll also thank Whites and Luxembourg, the law firm that not only does well, they do good, very philanthropic. Arthur Luxembourg, a big friend and fan of the podcast. Thank you all for, thank you both for being, collaborating with us and being our sponsors. Back to the dogs on the
Well,
I was like,
you-
how is that?
When you walked in, you had some questions about the word Michigas.
Yes, well,
And you
well, 'cause
also
yeah.
wanted to work out your
Shakshuka mashugana. You don't think that's like cute for like a
shakshuka is the food.
Yeah, which
and
I love.
Mashugana is crazy.
Yeah.
Mishagas is a craziness.
got it.
And Mishagoy is a person who's not Jewish and crazy. So that's
Why are you
slang.
looking? All of you looked at me immediately.
If I had to give you a drag name,
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yeah.
Jen Tile.
Oh.
Oh.
Can I spice it up, Jenny Tile? Just because I'm more of a Jenny.
You would be a Jenny.
I would.
You would be a
I'm
Jenny.
Very
You would.
Jenny.
You would be such
when
a
I'm upset at
Jenny.
the airlines, I'm a Jenny. I'm not a Karen because I'm still nicer, but I'm a Jenny.
You also traveled for the Eras tour. You're a Swiftie.
I am a
Would you
Swiftie.
identify as a Swiftie?
I would. Funny, my ex-boyfriend was like, I took him to see and I'd seen Taylor. I love Taylor. I liked Taylor, but when I saw the Eras tour last year in Philly, I was like blown away. And then I went to see her in Tokyo, which I sat right like. Her team got tickets because I didn't even know how to order them in Japan. You can't. A lot of countries you can't buy. There's laws against resale. So through friends, I got in and I sat at the Diamond in Tokyo in February. I get chills thinking about it. It was this magical experience. I mean, she's on the Diamond. She was like singing to us.
Wow.
That's
And it was
crazy.
like, when Taylor Swift sings into your eyes with like, the whole dynamic. It just like, and then this summer in Europe. So I'm 6'7", so I hate concerts where you're like in a seat because in Philly,
Yeah,
I
you
was
need
next to these young girls who were crying hysterically, like
Oh,
like
God.
unwell,
That would
like
be me.
just sobbing for hours. And I would stop and be like, are you girls okay? And they were just like going through this like, emotional breakdown at seeing their idol, which is great. But like, and then I had the 10 scream singers behind me, like scream. They're all competing. Who knows the lyrics more? And I'm like, girls, I literally couldn't hear Taylor. And then I was sat next to a straight guy. So I've got the scream singers and then a straight man who sat in a seat like this the whole time.
Vibe killer.
And I'm like stuck. So in Europe, they had an open floor, which I cannot stress enough. It was magic. And it was like $800, your front floor. You can move around. And summertime, Europe, stadiums, fireworks. It was just
magical.
Everything about it. So Lisbon was the best. But then I saw her at the O2.
How many
times have you
Taylor
seen
I
her?
saw her
Swift shows
four. I
did
was
you-
supposed to see her in Vienna, but thanks to ISIS, it got canceled. So, I mean, on one hand, I'm thankful for the,
Thanks, ISIS.
thanks for not dying, but
That's crazy.
so I don't think, I know, but now I'm watching everyone's footage in the U.S. But the U.S., the ticket prices are stupid, like 10 grand for like, on the same seat I had in Tokyo was 10 to 15,000. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Is she that good?
I mean, no one's that good for 15 grand or 10 grand. But I may do like, I don't know. I'm watching.
Do you guys like Taylor Swift?
I like Taylor Swift. I did not go to the Eras tour, and I regret it.
Really? Do you want a bracelet?
Just
Do you want me
because
to make you?
It never lined up with our schedule, with where she was going to be, and me getting tickets, and like, I thought about going to when she was doing it in Warsaw because
Right.
It was-
Ron,
yeah.
I was like, we should go to Warsaw because we.
And that
always,
was like the cheapest too.
I know, it
You
was
could
like-
get floor seats for like $400.
yeah,
So.
I was like, we should just go to Warsaw because it's on our list anyway.
And yeah, it's on our to-do list.
And see her, but it just didn't work out time.
I would just say this. It's not about, everyone's like, but Beyonce. I'm like, let's just stop. You can like both, But
I did
Beyonce's
go
a
to the
better dancer.
Renaissance
Okay,
tour.
great. That's stop like the comparison. Because do we say that with like male rock bands? But like, you two's more macho, like. But it is pure love. Like inside an Eras concert, you see girls, their moms, gays, zero drama. Like there's no fights. It's just like for 3.5 hours, you're just watching people have an experience. It's just like
It's 3.5
Yes.
hours. Wow.
She's a showman.
She's a show. She's up there. She's
performer.
Yeah, she's working.
I didn't. Yeah.
No
Now
doubt.
when I drive to the farm, it's an hour and a half. I listen to like the Eras like playlist from the concert. Like I'm.
So
like,
you're a
I'm
Swiftie
full-blown
Swiftie.
Swiftie. Yeah.
What would you
Wow.
say are like some of your top 3 tracks?
Oh my God. Well, I can do it with the broken heart. So her
Oh,
new
that's
songs,
new.
and when in that live, that whole set she added in Europe, and it's like it's iconic.
But so don't you feel like that song is her kind of like taking a dig at her fans though? She's like, "Hi, you're like making me miserable."
No, I don't know. I don't take any of her lyrics that personally. I don't know. I just
Oh,
like
I am
I
on
remember when
TikTok.
that song was first. I heard it in Lisbon. My memories being with all my friends at night, like we were just having a lot of fun, And
Yeah.
so that moment where you're like, we were all just like on this beautiful Lisbon Friday night, just like living our best lives, like,
Yeah.
So
You have your
I like
2-year-old is
Karma,
like
yeah.
singing
Oh,
Taylor
so
Swift
funny
songs.
enough,
Yeah. Is Dina Swiftie?
huge Swiftie. He literally asked for Tay Tay, and this morning before I came here, he points at the Sonos. He goes, Tay Tay on here.
Oh my God.
He's
That's so
he's
cute.
like he's stupid. And as I was leaving the door, Daddy, I come with you. And then he's like crying as I'm leaving. Yeah, it's like
next time you come on, bring Dean.
bring Dean.
what are
Like,
you
well,
gonna
he's
do with a
speaking so much now.
2-year-old?
He'll be ready to podcast.
Yeah, he'd be like, so the
Three.
Sapphire Lounge isn't what it's
Yeah.
cracked up to be.
growing up with my dad as being the points guy, he'll have his own little influency
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. He should be. This is so Jewish. He should be well and live long, and you should get lots of nachas from him.
What's nachas?
Nachas is joy.
Joy,
and
I do,
just-
man.
Just
it's like I count like what do you do if you have an asshole kid?
Oh my God.
Like you're stuck with
So
them. and I'm
let's do this. We obviously have friends that are gay and had kids. I just worry. Please don't be ugly. Please. I just don't want them to have ugly kids. And thank God, all of our friends that have had kids, the kids are gorgeous. Yours. I don't mention other people, but
Yeah.
No,
stunning.
Einhard.
And those of you listening, a lot of moms listen to this. A lot of Jewish moms. The amount of nannies that these gays have is not normal. They have staffs, and they show up an hour before, so there should never be like an overlay when one doesn't. She's running late, so
Coverage is important.
Coverage is important. That should be your.
Because I'm a
next
dad,
goal.
I'm not dead, and I'm
Right.
single, so I need to go out. And if my son sleeps from 7 to 7, like I don't need to be there watching him sleep. I need to like be able to have my life. So that was the one thing I waited till I was 39 until I could afford. I knew I would. I'm obviously a very involved parent. I work from home, but like, the nannies are very important to me, and finding the right
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
is very people are like, oh, it's so easy. You have nannies. I'm like, but you don't understand. Like just managing and finding the right nannies. Not just they're good for your kid, but mine live with me and travel with me, and it's like. It's important. It's very hard to find like the perfect balance where everyone is in harmony. But.
So
Good
on
help
that-
is hard to find.
So wait, so on that flight where you just posted adorable you and him, there's a nanny behind you guys.
There's a nanny, and I always fly my nanny in first class, which a lot of the nannies that follow me are like, thank you. I treat my nannies like gold. They get massages. But he flies with me, like to South Africa. He was sitting next to me.
Yeah.
But I do have them there to like, on a 15-hour flight, we switched on and off and stuff. But I don't feel bad about that because I'm like, I'm a single guy. If I had a wife, it would be the same thing. So my nannies are like my stand-in wife, you know. And I always say to myself, they're expensive, but I'm like, if I had a wife,
She'd be more expensive.
she'd be more expensive, and she'd still need a nanny. So like, I'm coming out ahead.
Husbands are expensive too.
Yeah, that's why I'm single.
I'm
I can either have a husband or a kid. So
Yeah.
not that expensive.
I wish you both. That's amazing. I am so happy you came on finally, and the book is called
How to Win at Travel. It's out February 4th, but you can pre-order it now. And for all of my travels with Dean, you can follow me at Brian Kelly on Instagram. And of course, our brand account is The Points Guy. Follow. Yep. I write a weekly newsletter where I recap what's going on in my world and the best deals and whatnot. So
I have one final question.
Yes.
What's your favorite place to go on vacation?
I am a huge safari guy. I love like being with the animals at sunrise, phones off, just like watching nature take action. It's like amazing.
Thank
in South
God
Africa.
I married Leo before he met you. That's all I can say.
I'm like doing some.
I don't know. Are you guys
calculation
looking for
over
a
here.
third? 'Cause
No, too many texting.
Yeah, Modi wouldn't.
the
handle
safari,
text.
South Africa in general, like Cape Town, like when people are like, where should I go on my safari or wedding, like honeymoon, like Sabi Sands, the private game reserves are where it's actually can off-road. Like a lot of countries in Africa, it's very regulated. You can't go off-road. The Sabi Sands in South Africa, and then you go to Cape Town. Cape Town's a beautiful, very LGBTQ friendly. It's this
And a
gay
lot of
marriage is-
Jews there. We get a lot of requests for
Yeah.
Cape Town. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the wine countries an hour outside of Cape Town, Franschhoek and Stellenbosch are like stupidly beautiful, mountainous. Like so, there's a lot in South Africa. Now you can fly nonstop using your points. Delta flies there, United. Although I do like flying the Middle Eastern carriers.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry. How do you feel about the Virgin flight or the flight configuration that is the bed that you have to ask them to do?
No,
it
I
for
avoid
you?
those planes like the plague.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I call them like the bird cage where you're.
Thank you.
Who wants to look at other people's feet? And Virgin, an airline like made by, and I asked Richard Branson, I'm like, you're a plane buff. Why would you have people not looking at a window on a plane? You know, that configuration's like
What did
20
he
years.
say?
He was just like, at the time we were like the industry leader. That was the only way they could figure out.
Did you say it's not the one we were on? It was like a new plane.
It was a new plane, and our seats were not facing another face. We were the back of the people facing each other, and then there's another row.
Oh, yeah.
But that bed
Modi
goes
liked
down.
that. I hated
That bed
it.
go. You have to get out.
Oh, the
to make
new
the bed,
A350.
And I never saw Leo sleep better in my life. He
Where were you guys
literally-
flying?
But they still look out the window. Oh, those ones I don't mind so bad. I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about the old Virgin seats that are like,
No.
they face into the aisle.
No.
Yeah.
This shit, you have to get out of it
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make it into a bed.
Yeah.
And it was.
I like to be able to make. I don't want to have to ask for help if I want to. Like I want to lay down now and I want to sit
Yeah.
up. Like
I just flew to Paris from New York on La Compagnie.
Yeah.
That was.
I flew them this summer.
That
last
wasn't
It's a
bad.
soap company. Isn't
La
that
Compagnie,
that
yeah.
soap company you bring as a gift?
No.
La
you're
with a
talking about
little.
L'Occitane.
Last
Lots of
time.
time. And I'm waiting for the sponsorship now. And now-
We're working on it. We're working on it. No, it's a business class plane.
And
so
that, so I flew them. It's not the most, it's 2 and 2. It's
Yeah.
like, so it's not the most fancy business class, but it's usually like half of what Air France is.
yeah.
And you can, that is a very dog friendly airline. A lot of people I knew were like, no, La Compagnie is super flexible with the
Oh,
dogs. and
I
stuff.
didn't see any dogs on there.
Is
A
the-
mini horse, maybe.
Yeah.
Is the Concorde coming back?
So funny enough, in my book, we talk about I end on the future of travel, and I interviewed. There's a company called Boom Supersonic, who are developing called the Overture plane. So it'll be the Concorde, but they allege their concept will be much more like sustainable. The Concorde never worked; it was too expensive, loud, it was dangerous. So by the
Great.
end of the decade, they're hoping to have this where you can now fly. It'll be like 3 hours to Europe, 4.5 from like the West Coast to Asia. So it's in test mode. A lot of the airlines they spent billions pre-ordering. United Airlines invested a lot. So it definitely supersonic flight is definitely
What about
a
space
potential.
travel? Are you going to space anytime soon?
I am not going to space anytime
No.
soon.
You
He's
don't
going
think
to
Richard,
New
Richard
Hope.
Branson isn't going to take you up there?
No, it's funny. I was supposed to do Galactic in 2013, and I was going to wire the 50K or whatever deposit. And that day there was like a rocket explosion, and like on one of the test flights, and I was like,
You can't. You're a father.
Well, no, now I'm like, yeah.
It's giving ocean.
You're not going
Giving
anywhere.
that ocean thing. They all went
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What's funny in February I did a submersible in the Maldives, and it was the worst experience of my. And it only went down like.
You're 6'7". What submersible?
It
are you
actually, I
getting?
did an Instagram reel. It was the dumbest $2,000 I've ever spent. It was a glass bubble, but in the Maldives it was 90 degrees. I roasted the whole time. I was sweating through my shirt.
I'm having a panic attack.
and
thinking
my
about
legs
that.
hit into the glass in front of me. I couldn't. When your legs fall asleep, you have to move them. You know?
Yeah.
And I couldn't. And I was like sweating profuse. I'm like, this is what I get for going on a submersible as a single father.
No.
Yeah, so that was the signal. Like,
Yeah,
stop
you're
doing dumb
done.
things. Yeah,
You're
I know,
going
I
to
know,
New
I know.
Hope, Pennsylvania,
Yes,
to the alpacas and the
Yes.
bucktooth llama.
Yes,
That's
fiasco.
I mean, you're doing jumping though on your
I
horse
know.
up there.
Well, I'm trying not to do as much.
Well, you look good doing it.
I wear vests, and I'm
No,
very careful.
your outfits,
But I am-
your looks are insane. Your looks are
like,
good.
But I am like, I'm not jumping as much as I used to because I am aware of the risks involved.
Well, that's like Modi doesn't go skiing really anymore because he goes, I need my legs. I
Yeah.
do stand up.
Yeah, you don't.
But I don't ski that much either because even I know so many friends now. Like,
Oh,
you break your
yeah.
collarbone. I mean, that's a real drag. But
It's there's no need to do it.
Yeah.
There's no need for that.
We're about mitigating risk
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
and maximizing points.
yeah,
We look forward to not only seeing you back on the podcast, but just seeing you in general. We
well,
love
you guys got to
partying with you,
Come,
and
come
we
meet
love the
Fiasco
farm.
before he passes.
Oh,
We just got a place in Connecticut.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations!
Yeah.
It's not a
it's
massive
not a
horse
farm,
farm.
but
Yeah.
it's just what we need.
Perfect.
Our
It's-
neighbors do have chickens though.
Yes,
Chickens are pretty easy, and those real farm fresh chicken eggs are so good.
I mean, the way we go through eggs, I eat
Yeah.
a lot of eggs.
I know.
Yeah.
So we have that going, and that's and so and come to the Beacon.
I would love to.
It's a
Come
new
to
show.
the Beacon. You have an invitation.
You came to Sony Hall.
You are very good
Yes.
friends with our friends Jason and Caleb. Jason and Caleb, shout out to you guys. These are guys. Jason, I know since LaGuardia was mayor of New York. We literally, when we finished college, both moved to New York. We became friends. Caleb is his husband. Jason has watched my comedy career from like 5 people at a comedy club to like Sony Hall to Town Hall and now the Beacon, and then he's just
Yeah, they're
been
very sweet.
they're like really super fans and
Supportive.
and for the Beacon shows. The Beacon shows are December 17, 18, and 19. 18, 19 are sold out. There's a few tickets left on the 17th. But besides that,
Buy
Modi
them,
Live,
put them on your Amex. Get some
Yeah.
cards.
put
or
them
fi-
on your Amex, cancel it, then get it on your
Madison Square
Delta.
Garden has a portal on
portal,
American
yeah.
Airlines.
Does
and then
Madison
get
Square
to-
Garden have a portal to do something with
Well,
points?
they have a Chase sponsorship, so you can use your Chase card to get through secret doors and whatnot.
Yeah.
I
I
love
need
that
to
he
go to
actually
Oh,
knew
and
the
also I'll say
answer.
this:
I knew that too.
clear. If
Clear.
you're clear for the airport, also works at
I've seen that.
sports stadiums
Yeah.
and event.
We have that, yeah.
Yeah.
We have all of that. And then shows are in, by now, we still have shows in Chicago, Montreal, Toronto. We have shows in Houston, Austin, and
Los Angeles.
And Los Angeles. The Milton.
Wiltern.
The
Almost.
Wiltern, sorry, the dyslexia. With the Wilton in Los Angeles, that's going to sell out very fast, so get your tickets for that. Everything's available on modilive.com. Be the friend that brings the friends to the comedy show. Get a few tickets, not just 1 or 2, and bring your friends. By the time the show comes around, they'll all be looking for it, and you'll be the hero. And that's it.
I feel like we need to have you on for part 2.
Let's do it from the farm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wait, that's
Yeah.
actually a great idea. Okay, stay tuned.
No, I have a whole in my barn. It's like literally a podcast studio.
Okay, we're coming.
We're
All right,
coming.
thank you for tuning
Perfect.
in. This has been amazing.
Bye-bye.